So I love this photo because it seemed to me that it represented what I was trying to, what I'm trying to communicate actually in this sermon, but what discipleship is, and this communion that we share with one another in living this life together. Kathy was this like really beautiful, she led the orchestra. She commanded the way that they would do the pictures, and she just was in charge of all of it and drove the kids to dinner and back, and then drove my son home, and it was just it's such an amazing gift. So thank you, Kathy, for that. But I just loved how they listened to her too, which is so awesome. Yeah. Anyway, so when Howie and I were first dating, and I've mentioned this somewhat before, but some of you may not have heard this. One of our first topics of debate was the usual sort that newly besotted couples participate in. Our theological stance on eternal salvation. I don't know, it just was so important back then, I don't know. But now his Reformed tradition was steeped in a Wesleyan kind of theology, while mine was informed more by this Calvinist approach. And you may be like, what does that even mean? It's not really all that important, and it really isn't. But as we debated the issues, the first thing we said to each other was, how then can you believe in grace? And we felt like our particular stance communicated what grace was really about more than the other. And then we kept talking. And so our growing love for each other prevailed, and we continued to argue it out and came to the conclusion that we were, in essence, saying the same thing. So after more study and seminary degrees and exploring the reforming theologians themselves, it became increasingly clear that even their perspectives shifted and changed and became nuanced throughout their lives. So World Communion Sunday was initiated by a Presbyterian in 1936, but was ratified across denominations by 1940 during a time of war. The upheaval so great, yet the desire to be unified in faith and love far greater. It may seem we currently occupy a time of fair degree of upheaval, since this is true, because when is it really untrue from our perspective? It always seems like, oh, it's never been as bad as this before, but it pretty much always has. Unity is so important for those who believe that God is, and that Jesus is who he says he is. When something is not right between us or between us and God, we are not at peace and begin to make bad decisions.